So Tony's up first. All right, Tony.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend my pitch. My name is Tony. I'm the CEO of Advanced Modular Instruments, or AMI. So AMI is a highly motivated company that's dedicated to the development of new state-of-the-art scientific instrumentation products for diagnostic and new drug discovery purposes. We hope to decrease the cost for scientists by increasing the efficiency and output into a easy-to-use package. So I work in a lab, this lab here, and I noticed that every lab has the same thing in common. Every single lab has a centrifuge. So in case you guys don't know what a centrifuge is, or you just want a refresher, a centrifuge is a centrifuge is a device that spins liquid samples at high speeds by creating a strong centrifugal force. It's used to separate particles in a biological sample. It was originally developed to separate blood components during a blood drive. So what you would do is you would take a blood sample and put it into a test tube and centrifuge it, and it would separate the particles based on density. Now the biggest problem that scientists had back in the day were how much force do I apply to the centrifuge or to my sample. See, if I apply too little, I can do a thing called underspinning, where I don't collect enough sample. Or if I apply too much force, I can do another thing called overspinning, which will destroy my sample. So in order to get this optimal condition where you get enough force but you don't destroy your sample, you essentially have to play a guessing game identical to that played by the contestants on the game show The Price is Right. Because most biology labs require centrifugation either before or after their experiment, this creates a massive bottleneck. And this unique problem creates an opportunity for us to not only develop instrumentation that would speed up drug discovery timeline, but also to get money. So there's $4 billion in the laboratory equipment market in 2014 with a just a 3% increase per year. And of the $4 billion, 20% is used to purchase centrifuges, so that's $8 million. And so we're hoping to conservatively capture 3 to 6% of the market, so around 25 to $50 million. And we want to target academics such as basically any schools out there, clinical segment such as the Department of Health, and industry such as Regeneron, Novartis. And lastly, last but not least, we'd like to target the centrifuge manufacturers. So the top 3 manufacturers are Thermo Fisher, Beckman Coulter, and Becton Dickinson, which compose of 41% of the market. So our solution to this problem is a clever device called the Smart Tube. The Smart Tube, it has a computer system, wireless communication, and battery source, and it fits into a commercial centrifuge bucket. You can place your test tube into it, and it will measure cells in real time and transfer the data out to the end user so you can monitor your sample. At the heart of it are a series of sensors that detect sample concentrations at different stages during centrifugation, and it transfers the data wirelessly. We made it so easy to use that you just place your sample into a centrifuge tube, place it into the Smart Tube, and then you can place it into any commercial centrifuge bucket, turn it on, spin it, and it will transfer the data wirelessly to your user. We tend to market this invention to the top 3 manufacturers, Thermo Fisher, Beckman Coulter, and Becton Dickinson. We have 2 ways of doing it. We can either license the technology, so we're anticipating to conservatively capture 3 to 6% of the market, or we want to create the products ourselves and then sell it to the centrifuge manufacturers to complement their technology in a business-to-business transaction. Since we don't have any sales, we went out and we talked to these major players in the field, and such as the Department of Health, and they pretty much said that their pains were exactly what our product can solve, such as being able to measure the samples during the experiment, optimize or not wasting precious sample during the optimization steps, etc. And then we talked to a major centrifuge manufacturers such as Thermo Fisher, and they're looking for products that will complement the existing technology, which is great for a B2B approach. So right now, I am the only person on my team, just the CEO. I'm looking for someone that has specialties in marketing and finance, and then lastly, I would probably look for an engineering focused person. Our competitions are very, very, very small. Our only competitor is the analytical centrifuge, which is very expensive. It's proprietary, so you won't find it in every lab. You'll find it in very specialized labs, such as clinical labs, and it requires specialized training, such as a technician. So that by itself does not have a wide market field. Our product does. And this creates a great opportunity for you, the investor, to help. I don't know how to end this. Help me, I guess. I'm going to end that like that because I didn't have an ending.
All right. Those slides were fantastic. I got up my game, man. Yeah. Those were good. I think it'd be good if you had more of your customer discovery, because you've done some, you've talked to a bunch of customers already.
Yes.
So if you could just sort of highlight them somewhere, it just shows.
Like here?
Yeah.
Another slide.
Yeah, something like.
That's what I want. Like quotes?
Like quotes, but like, if, I've spoken to 50 potential.
Everybody can learn from this, listen up.
Customers, that type of thing.
Okay.
It just adds to your story. Your stories are incredible, but it just, and it makes it so that when you go to Thermo Fisher or whoever you're going to go to, it's like, this dude's out there. He's already talked to other people, so he's not just coming here. So he knows all these other guys. So I better, scoop him up first, that kind of thing. The other question, just from other aspects, do you have patents for this stuff already?
We have, what's yours? We have like
A patent for it? Or?
We do have patents for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Applications.
Applications. Good. Yeah, cool.
Teresa, how many do they have? Like 2,
Pending
3?
applications? Well, within the next few days, we'll probably have 6 pending applications.
So I would put customer totals and pending applications up there.
Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yep.
So that's really important, because it'll tell people you're A, talking, and you're B, doing a good business practice.
One of the things I was looking at for the 11th slide, the last slide, was sort of the ask from a customer. So say, this should be targeted for, if you're going to go to Thermo Fisher, what do you want out of Thermo Fisher? So think about it. Like, you don't want to sell your technology to them right now. It's too early. Maybe you want to co-develop it with them. Maybe there's something that they can do for you. Or maybe it's developed enough where you can just sell it through their channel or something. Like,
So what about this slide right here, where I give them the option to license or do B2B? Should I go more into one or the other, or should I just leave it like?
I'm biased. I'm always a fan of B2B sales. They'll ask them for the license. So, and you got to clutch the pearls and be like, oh my God, no, I would never license this. I have this is my company. Like, and then they'll grab a license, but it hopefully be at a higher price. That's just my personal bias. I don't know, what you think.
Yeah, I was here first.
Yeah.
This is your last resort, because
Yeah.
if you look at revenue models, this is the lowest one
Yeah.
for the founders.
And if you want to go get SBIR money or any sort of government money,
Yeah.
they will laugh you out of the room if you send them your licensing model, because you're not generating jobs.
I got you.
So to anybody in the government, I'm going to have a factory. I'm bringing jobs right here to New York State, building this factory right here. Like that type of political stuff.
So should I switch the position?
I would eliminate licensing.
I would eliminate it.
Yeah.
You would eliminate the
Yeah.
license?
Don't even. They'll know it's an option,
I got you.
but just don't. And act shocked. Like, I don't want to license this stuff. Let's talk about. I'm going to be your supplier. So how can I supply you this stuff, like that type of thing? You're going to get more bang for the buck with VCs, because they don't typically like the licensing thing. You're going to get more bang with government officials and stuff like that. And the big guys, they're going to want a license anyway. So that's just a given for them.
Can I?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you go back a couple of slides here? Okay, this one here.
This one? Okay.
How do you think I feel about this slide?
Giddy?
Geeky. Kelly, did it add any value to your impression of this going forward?
This was a solution slide, right?
Yeah.
So go to the next one.
I like it.
Back.
No, this one's fabulous. This one was good?
Yeah.
As a non, as a
It helps, 'cause
as
you're
a social
thinking about-
scientist, this helped me understand what you were doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so did the next one go with it well?
What was the next one?
The
video.
before or after?
After?
This one.
Yeah, that one was.
Oh, yeah.
difficult.
This I thought was
Because it's so easy. You just put it right in.
this is what I needed to see.
But I didn't see any of those red, green, and blue squares in that too.
Could you show like a screen cap of it running like with the graphs instead of that? Like have this video, like you kind of just
Yeah.
cut it, oh, is it?
That's just a random.
Yeah, that's just a
visualization
visualization.
data.
Could you make it?
They don't know that.
Could you make a,
It's not sexy. The actual data is not really that sexy.
but could you take the actual data, make it look sexy and put it up there so that
No. No. Being an engineer.
But I think, you know what, I would say, for a venture capital presentation, maybe there's too much geek in
Yeah,
this.
there is too.
But if you're talking to, Beck and Coulter, Beck and Dickinson, whoever, they're gonna appreciate a little dab of that. And, it's your first date with them, so it can be high-level science. You don't have to get into the weeds with them, but just a little taste of science, I don't think is a bad
So
thing.
delete this.
I like it. Yeah, I don't know.
Keep going. What was before?
Yeah.
We can go to the front.
For a custom, and then, the target for this was a customer presentation,
Yeah.
not a venture pitch.
Should we go through each slide and just go to the part where?
No.
No.
We're good. You can see me after, I'll go through it.
Yeah.
I like the Price is Right slide. Did
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
get an impression
Oh,
of
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Like, this is what the problem is.
yeah.
All right, come see me after, I'll go through them one at a time.
Oh.
I just did it with a couple of teams today.
I thought that the technical thing did feel like it took a little long maybe, but it depends on the audience. But what was missing when you got through it for me was the fact that may address this as the barrier to entry for someone else. Like, it wasn't obvious to me what you'd done that could not be done, and maybe it's because it's patented, but you have a competitor, but could any of these big guys just go do it?
Yeah, they mentioned your IP position would be good.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, Gordon. It would have fixed some ills.
I mean, it starts with 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, come see us after.
Yeah. Kelly, you had something?
The solution before market, especially if you're talking to a customer, they want to know, you got to grab them with your solution. So I would discuss solution before you log your market slides.
I was only following the 11
I
step.
thought that might be, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it said,
Didn't you
don't
send
be
that out?
tempted to move the solution side.
I thought.
Yeah, I don't think it flows.
You think so? All right.
You got no?
The last one has to be.
Yeah, I want to just get that aside. It's good, man. Okay. So, we have you guys talking, you're talking, Ignis, you're talking, and the company with the new name is talking. With the unpronounceable name.
the company formed.
Which one you see it?
Prince is gone, so you can use this.
It's much better.
It's all about visuals.
Anyway, nobody's taking that.
The majority of the slide.
Nobody takes Enway. About 5 minutes. Enway, baby. All right, I'm just gonna randomly pull it up. Looks like you, Ignis. Come on down. Now, we have a clicker. I think it works. Hang on.
All right, just off the start, I'm not very artistically inclined, so that previous PowerPoint set the bar high.
It's a I think this should work. Hang on one second. Come on, Izzy. I need to get a computer, Kelly. That's kind. So how you doing? There we go. Ready? Maybe not.
Is there Q&A next week?
I think we're gonna leave room for a couple minutes. But we gotta, even 2 minutes, that's 10 minutes of talk. Let's,
No,
Alright,
right.
alright,
Expect 3
7
hours next week. It said 2, but expect 3.
All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know why. No, it was- at first you're working with No, thank you. I don't get it, it's possessed. Technology. Just see, it keeps cycling.
So this is your picture called, that your presentation doesn't work.
It's coming. Yeah, maybe we can just do this as a panel discussion, we'll just talk to the people. All right. Sorry about this, guys. Shouldn't be doing this. Now, we got a whole new configuration. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Yep, not a good idea.
They're racing now.
All right.
It goes fast.
Everybody, did you get some food? Everybody's got food? Yeah, good. How about that first presentation? Really good. Yeah. All right, PowerPoint's coming back up. Here we go. Now we're getting serious. Sweet Lord. Now it's opening every one of them again.
Clint, you know what this feels like? That Michael Phelps commercial. There's a guy with big
Oh, yeah.
We should just do the pitches without decks.
All right, there we go. Oh, it's
I haven't to do once and then.
it's popping all up there.
Power lost power. That becomes.
Right. Okay, my man. Now, as I was saying, I believe we have a clicker that would work. It's good. You know, maybe just do the analog clicker right here. Up and down. Yeah. Just do that. Up and down. All right, there we go. 8 minutes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gaska, and I don't have a real company name yet. It's basically UV LED technologies for nitrate sensing in water. So, Clint, imagine yourself. You know, it's been a long week. You know, you have to deal with us.
Right.
And you're gonna go out to the lake. You're like, this is what you remember us last year. It's beautiful. That's where you want to
I
go.
love it. I love it.
Well, you damn bet.
Sweet Lord.
So, what you're seeing here right now is there's actually a huge, really thick algal bloom in fresh water that actually leads to a huge fish kill, as well as water toxicity. This is actually an algal bloom that you're seeing in 2014 in Toledo and Lake Erie, where that's actually water intake. And in 2014, they had to shut off all the water. They had to shut off the water plant, and they also had to spend about $2 million in cleaning this, because once the algae is there, there's no other way to get rid of it except for physically removing it. If you are dumb enough to try to boil it, you're going to lice them, and you're going to get you're still going to have poisonous water. So, what is this? So this is mainly caused by industrial runoff, particularly fertilizers. Now they can be phosphorus-based or nitrate-based. In my case, I was very interested in the nitrate-based one. And my solution is using UV LED technology in a little two-prong approach. Within one single LED diode, I'm not going to try to get too novel, but each little square would be a different wavelength light. One would be to detect, hey, there's nitrates in the water, but is there other stuff in there too? Use another wavelength of light to be like, no, it's just nitrates. You're like, good. Moving on. So, what is my competition? As you can see here, this is a Suna V2 system. It is actually really, really good. It can measure turbidity, I believe it's pH, everything else. You can see it's pretty big. It's actually 2 feet long. However, it is $26,000. Everyone they're trying to kind of pitch it to, such as federal, state, local governments, as well as academic institutions, like, yes, we want this. We can't afford this because they want more than one. You don't just want one that you can put deep in the center of a lake and be like, yeah, there's nitrates in there. They're like, cool, where's it coming from? I don't know. You want to have it in multiple different points. So my previous system that I talked about would be a simple, small little UV LED system, significantly smaller, and that would be cheap enough that you could implement it in various points. So if you all of a sudden see a huge influx of nitrates, you could be like, it's coming up from stream X, which 10 miles up is this factory, so you know exactly who to go to. So the target market, the global market, is about $6.49 billion for water quality and monitoring and sensing. The cost of nutrient solution, getting a little more specific, in water is $2.2 billion a year in the United States. And the market that I'm trying to target is about $120, $150 million market using for these sensors at a cost of about $5,000 per system. That was kind of like the sweet point, and I talked to several customers that said about $4,000 or $5,000 they could budget in. So this is from the Alliance of Coastal Commercial Technologies. They did a huge market analysis, and they actually didn't charge for people to read it. They're trying to encourage people to develop cheaper sensors that people can actually use. As you can see, this is actually in 2012 within the United States, that for water monitoring, about, Orange's No program has, about 24%. In development at 24%. From the government, that generally means, there's nothing really going on. And existing programs are at 53%. So there's a huge market to target. I kind of put my things out of order a little bit. But the revenue model that I'm going for are for these end users, such as federal, state, local governments, academic institutions. I would like to do direct sales, but as I talked to some of the customers, they told me, or a person who actually was involved in developing technologies for commercial government use, they said as you go higher up the ring, you have to make certain certifications. Those cost money, and sometimes he told me that you don't know that you need them until the last moment, which is not a fun thing to do. Besides just direct sales, I'd like to have a secondary market because this would be a very select sensor system. I'd like to have it maintenance and calibration system that can be almost on-site, coming to you right then and there, so people would want to take and invest in such a product when they might have an idea of how it works, but they're still kind of nervous to try. It's like, hey, you just dropped the system, from 25 grand to 5 grand. It sounds a little too good to be true. Well, I want to have something to back it up to go there and work with them. Another way to, I'd like to, it's a little more costly, but I'd like to have existing vendors and people who are traveling around to known partners that work in these areas and have it in their catalog so they can pitch it. Obviously that's going to cut into my bottom line, but I might find out about customers that I don't even know about. So, maybe later on I could pull the rug out from under them. And the other one is the one that I know you guys just said not really big for, but the intellectual property licensing of big water monitoring companies. I'm actually in the next slide. I'm really interested in working with the Jefferson Project, which works with the government, New York State Dare and Freshwater Institute, and it's hugely funded by IBM. And they do a lot of things in Lake George. And I'd like to do a joint development agreement with them, specifically so I could really understand what they really want, and as I keep during the various development stages, I'd be like, all right, let's test this. What's strong? What's weak? And basically keep testing it in a real world environment. And that would be really important because as I understand SBR phase 1s, you don't, that'd be more of a proof of concept, but for a phase 2, they'd like to have a, letters of support. Now, if I can do a phase 1, somewhat working with them and make a really solid proof of concept and then try to commercialize, I think I could have a better chance of actually getting that money to do that testing. And the team is my business mentor is Colleen Costello. She works with Vital Bio, which works with light disinfection, so she's very familiar with LEDs. Academic mentor is Dr. Kevin Rose. He works in the ecology department at RPI, and he actually has several people within his group are actually working in the Jefferson Project. And I'm really looking forward right now is to try to find mechanical electrical engineers with some sort of also manufacturing background, which is why I'm actually very excited about the American Geophysical Union that we're going in December, because I'd like to see, do people have, find people who have experience in these kind of areas, and maybe they can tell me, what are the pitfalls, what to look out for, how can this be done, is it feasible at this stage? A lot of unanswered questions that I'd like to know. And that's it.
All right. That was good. Questions?
Yeah, how long does it take when you use the instrument to where you get your reading?
It'd be almost rather really quick. The absorption measurements, you almost can measure it in real time. So if you use like a spectrophotometer, if you have a little small sample size, as the light's going through, it's like simultaneous readings, there's almost no delay. Now, to have, I think what you're asking is like, all right, so if you're like deep in the water or something like that, how can you, could you get the data to the,
No. I was kind of thinking because you were saying you need to buy a few of them and scatter them around.
Yeah.
But if it's quick readings, couldn't you just maybe throw on some dive gear, go take a reading here, go take a reading there with one tool?
Yeah, but imagine how in a big lake, that'd be kind of hard. Imagine if you have like let's say you detect with your one that you have, hey, there's a nitrate problem. By the time you take that and go to every single different potential point that you know of, all right, let's say you find out which one it is, right? Eventually, without system elimination, you will. There's a ton more that already came in. Instead of when you first detected it, you immediately call them up and be like, hey, plant X, stop whatever's going on, you're dumping nitrates into the water.
So you just put them distributed at the perimeter at like every inlet source and you just kind of wait.
Yeah, just kind of like real-time monitoring.
Like a detection drone kind of just sitting there and you leave them places?
Yeah, it'd be like a little, maybe like a little like monitoring buoy, potentially like areas where you know there's like industrial or like plants upstream. You know, you might not need to have one at a little stream that runs in from, you know, the top of the mountain where there's nothing there. But if you know there's industrial sectors in certain areas, you might want to have a sensor in that stream or streams, plural, wherever anything that's running in. So if you do detect something, and my other thing, I'm sorry, I want to say, and the other thing is let the companies know that you're monitoring it, because so you can be like, hey, if we catch something, you're taking a huge fine, and yes, we actually have something in place that can detect it. Just nice.
Question for you, like, what's the radius in terms of the reading?
So yeah, that's an interesting point. I wasn't really sure if I just want to have it, you know, like just, you know, sitting fixed, but that's usually really hard. I was thinking about maybe like in a buoy where they kind of like, you know, they put in like a 20-foot rope or something like that, depending on the depth, and just kind of circularly just kind of, you know, floats around.
So, but for the sensor itself, it's only testing the immediate water.
Mm-hmm.
But, so does it test like out for?
Well, that might, yeah.
In terms of like the sphere?
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Determine placement and how many you would actually need.
Mm-hmm. No, I see what you're saying. And I mean, my idea was just kind of having like water coming in, tested, and waiting a little bit. Water coming in, testing, and this is going on. So it'd be, you'd be collecting a lot of data. And the potential analysis, you know, there probably would have to be some sort of software involved as well. Because as I learned from these people that I met in that work with the ecologists, the amount of data that they have is really, really big. And I was thinking to myself, you know, if I could just do smaller samples, maybe it'd be.
So do you see yourself developing other product lines off of this?
Potentially, yeah, because
like a buoy special?
Potentially. I was thinking also more along the lines of, you know, maybe not just nitrates, maybe they find out like maybe there's something else that they'd like to know. And if I already have a proof of test concept and system that's working for nitrates, I'm like, oh yeah, just to make it for this product, I just have to switch out a different wavelength LED. Like nothing different, you know. That made people feel more comfortable because there's already proof, you know, something out there that's already working, just a minor tweak.
All right, we got to get into this thing.
You can all communicate to each other in Launchpad Central, so if you have more questions for Ignis or Tony or whomever, go ahead and go in and comment or email them directly through the system.
Here we go.
All right, let's try this.
Okay. Then you just do the arrow down over here. I'll show you where. Okay. Sorry. You gonna steer? I'll steer it, so you just move the arrow down and arrow up 3 times. Yep. All right, guys, 8 minutes.
Okay, I'm Jason Kershaw, it's Donald Zeta, we're with Impact Technologies. Our vision is to make the best helmet on earth and the only helmet made in America. Our values are style, comfort, and performance for the customer. Okay, so I'm the founder. Donald here is the entrepreneur. Clint is our advisor, and Matthew is the academic advisor. Okay, so the current problem with the industry is helmet technology right now. You have the current helmets are big and bulky, or they're either small and unsafe. So what I'm trying to say is you have a category of safe helmets, and with the EPS technology, they are about 3 inches thick, and there's also novelty helmets that use like a 1/2 inch of low density foam. They're very thin, but they don't offer any protection. The reason why customers buy those helmets, even though they don't protect you, is because they don't like the size and the bulkiness of the safer helmets. So this leads to lots of unnecessary injuries, paralysis, and death. There's more than 1,200 category preventable deaths in the United States every year that are actually classified as preventable because the helmet worn in those instances are unsafe or not up to standards. Okay. So the entire novelty and half helmet shell industry that we're targeting is approximately 1 billion, with 9 million riders in the United States market. There's about 800,000 novelty shells bought every year. So what we're showing here that the industry trends are, there's a lot of half shell helmets, and that's the initial market that we're targeting. And there's a lot of novelty helmet shells purchased every year. The low profile helmets are visually attractive, comfortable, light. DOT street legal helmet prevents injuries and death at a fair price. That's what we're going for. As you see, that's a DOT helmet. You can see the size, the bulkiness. It's pretty much considered mushroom head. Okay, look, and that's a lot of customers just don't like looking that way. So in my interviews, I found that a lot of people own more than one helmet. They own, a variety of helmets, between 4 and 10 helmets per rider. A lot of them have gone from a novelty helmet shell to a DOT helmet shell because of regulations, and they've paid fines by the police. And then after they've actually switched back to the novelty until they get fined again, and they switch again. Okay, so this is just an illustration of where we see ourselves in the market. Where we own this lane, nobody could compare with our patented technology because we offer safety, comfort, style, performance that no one else can match. So over here is this novelty helmet sector, and some of these are distributor names. It's very difficult to track down the manufacturing on these novelty helmets because they don't want to be known. So you won't actually be able to track those down. But here we have a large market of DOT approved helmets, and there's about 150 of these actually. I couldn't put them all up there, but here are the top sellers. You have Bell, HTC, Air, Shoei, AGV, Shark. Those are some big companies. Right here, 6D is kind of a new helmet on the market, and they have patented technology that improves safety against angular acceleration and rotational injury, which is something that we do to a greater extent than what they are able to perform. But they do show that there's, even though their helmets are very expensive, somewhere around the $800, $850 mark, there's a large market, and they've risen to the top of their niche within a couple of years. So it's very impressive to see new technology grow successfully in that amount of time. Okay? So the technology that I've created is more efficient at handling kinetic energy. And that's really what it's all about. When a helmet company is trying to develop new technologies, the problem with the industry is that they go to their top scientists and they say, we want to make the lightest compression material possible. And then they design the helmet around that compression material. The problem is, mass is a big part of the equation to energy. So when you have to add all that light compression material until you have enough there to handle the energy, and that's why you get the big helmets. So the approach of the industry is completely wrong, and we're addressing that. So by shrinking the size of the helmet and handling the energy more effectively, we eliminate a lot of the leverage on angular acceleration. Rotational energies occur all the time. It's a big problem in other industries right now. You might have heard of CTE in the NFL, and they don't actually have a plan on how to combat that disease. But this technology is exactly that. It combats rotational energies, and it has a wide range of usability. And what I'm trying to describe that is you have the fluid technology is very soft. So when you hit that helmet at low energies, it could work soft at low energy. When you increase the energy, as you apply more force, the fluid actually stiffens up and it reacts according to the amount of energy that's applied to the helmet. There's not one helmet on the market today that can say they have a wide range like that. Okay. So we have a utility patent with 27 claims. It's got a very broad reach, broad coverage. Basically, it's about the fluid liner, and it has a minimum of 1 compression zone. It's basically so broad that we can use the liner in all kinds of applications.
All right, I gotta give you the hook. It took you like 6 minutes to get to the solution. So way too worried. Now it's already 8 minutes, so that's it. Like that's the time. So, but you guys gotta really streamline it. You got a good story, and if I remember one of yours you like showed the example. If you do that, it's much more punchy, and you can get to the point a lot quicker. Remember, like you're gonna totally lose people. Like after just doing so much talking, you're gonna totally lose people. Like it should be done in 8 minutes at the max. And it took we had to wait 6 minutes just to get to like the solution. We said the solution before, but then the solution slide was like way deep in. So I would really shorten that thing. I mean, we say 8 minutes is the goal. I think you guys can get yours done in like 4. I think you guys can tell a compelling story in 3 or 4 minutes and have people go, holy shit, really? Like, because it's like blam, right? It's right there.
Yeah, what are your opinions on like props? Because I think that'd be great. You'd be like, look, I think you're like, look, this has a lot of material. It's big because it's light material. It needs to take out the mass. Look at ours. It's dense.
Yeah. Show a full size helmet. Yeah.
Compressed.
And show yours.
Yeah.
And people can see the cool factor right away. I like your bike picture with all the cool helmets on and stuff. I think you guys can
even that clear one, and you can see the inside and out.
Yeah, that was
cool,
right?
I'll do that.
What else? I mean, I think they have a compelling story, regardless of all the go-to-market stuff and everything else, but like, and I think you guys could have the shortest presentation of anybody, and people would be like, I like that. Like,
I have to admit, I didn't think I was going to take it 8 minutes.
I saw you, you were enjoying it, you're like, let me tell you, this thing, like, I was like, oh man, keep going.
My bad.
No, it's fine, you love it, I love it. Any other comments from the group?
Move your team slide to the end. Move your team slide to the end.
Oh, you want to see the last slide? That is, yes.
And you told us the numerical value of your obtainable market, but what is that comprised of?
Well,
The first part, there's 9 million riders.
No, get down to what you're actually going to hit first.
Yeah, the first part of it is the 9 million riders in the market. There are 800,000 novelty shells that are bought every year. That's our attainable market.
I'd like to.
What's that going on?
You can
That's not what you said. It was like 103 to 120 million or something.
$350 million is the novelty and cash shell market. 105 million is 30% of that market, those are the people that are not wearing any helmet that is worthwhile. 100%, there's been analysis done by a third party for the
So you're gonna hit people who don't have a helmet yet.
that have helmets that are really unsafe.
Oh,
That wasn't clear.
all right.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, clear up. All right, Mark is on. All right, ready, go.
Great, hi, I'm Mark Durant from Self-Ray, and we have a manufacturing technology that will rapidly open up the direct view LED display market by decreasing manufacturing time and costs. So direct view LED displays, not to be confused with LED displays that you might think of, are 10 times more efficient, 30 times brighter, 100 times faster refresh rate with 100 times better contrast ratio than the current leading display technologies, namely being OLEDs and LCD TVs, which in turn actually is those LED TVs that you see are just LCDs with LED backlights. Now the problem is you only see direct view LED displays in billboards, and actually now you might see that next year in Apple's smartwatch, but there's nothing in between. This TV could never be made as a LED TV direct view display because it just takes way too long to manufacture. A 4K display with the fastest technology on the market today would take 17 days non-stop of this machine running to assemble. Well, Self-Array can fix that issue. Now, our patented direct self-assembly technology can quickly and simply assemble, orient, and transfer large numbers of pre-tested, that's known good, LED dyes. Now, it's a low wear and tear mechanism. There's not a lot of moving parts, so it lasts a while, and it's completely scalable. So that 4K display, which once took days, now it can be done in a matter of minutes. Now, the way it works is diamagnetic levitation and vibration. Basically, the LEDs float over our surface. The vibration causes them to jumble around until they fall into holes in our magnetic field, much like balls in these old kind of party games you might have played. So our initial market is a niche market. It's indoor video walls. Now, this is a $200 million market, expected to go to about $560 million by 2022. And these are things like where you might have a projector nowadays where a LCD screen is too small. So informatics is a great example. Control rooms, airports, boardrooms. It's a small market, but it's really a foothold where our technology can make the greatest impact. And this just leads us to our eventual market, the LED display market as a whole. This is everything from those big billboards you see in Times Square down to the dot matrix displays you see outside of banks. Now, when it comes to the competition, there's really only two camps. The traditional state-of-the-art is this pick-and-place machine, which is how those billboards are made today. A robot has to individually go and grab these pre-arranged pixels and arrange them into a display. That's a lot of moving parts, and it's relatively slow. Now, transfer printing is what Apple plans to use for its smartwatches. In that case, it grabs these LEDs off of the LED wafers they are grown on in batches and puts them into a matrix. And here is that if this LED is bad, you have to scrap that entire tile. Plus, you're limited by the size of this wafer, which is why you're going to see it only in the smartwatches and not in their iMac displays. So we get the best of both worlds. We can pre-test all our LEDs like pick and place, but we can handle massively parallel number of LEDs like transfer printing. And we can go to sub-millimeter pitch and scale to large areas. And really that's that sub-millimeter pitch that's critical to get a very high resolution, smaller scale display. So initially we're going to do B2B sales of our pre-assembled LEDs on what we're calling a tape or a transfer substrate. Basically, we give it to the display manufacturer and get right into their value chain. So they can just put it back onto the back end of line interconnects and have a display. Now we'll do this through long-term contracts with direct inside sales force, working with the manufacturers. But going forward, we think we can also subsume the packaging and binning of these LEDs and eventually, hopefully, do it all ourselves. Now, with our revenue projections, we think we can start to generate revenue right now by about 2019 with our first product, which is the pre-assembled LEDs on tape. But our real hope is that we can go forward with a joint development agreement and move that date up by at least a year. So we're an NSF SBIR Phase 1 grantee awarded $225,000 for this past year. We're part of an I-Core site program funded by the NSF, and we've already gone out and verified our value propositions with over 30 customers. Some of them are listed here. This is everyone from the top display manufacturers down to the LED component suppliers. In fact, we have NDAs in place with 5 of them three of them here, Barco, Daktronics, and LG, being three of the biggest players in direct view LED display manufacturing. So Clint Ballinger is our CEO. He's an entrepreneurial lead at RPI. Dr. James Liu is our CTO. He's an IEEE fellow and the main inventor of our technology. Basically, birthed the field of 3D integration. And then there's myself. I'm the lead engineer and in charge of product development. So we're located in Troy, New York, just down the hill from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. We're co-located with the Makerspace, the Rensselaer County Economic Development Board, and we have all these great resources around us to help us grow our company. So right now, we're at the stage of scaling up our R&D to larger stages, making larger test displays, and then we're going to take a two-pronged approach. One leading to our first product, the LEDs on tape or that substrate. The second leading to our displays. That involves making sure everything can happen in sequence. So making the interconnects work, making the display work in a monochrome before going full color. So right now we're seeking a joint development agreement with you all. We'd like to put this partnership out there. We can customize our technology to your product, get you to market faster and first. And we're also concurrently raising matching funds to our SBIRC grant, looking for things that we can use for SBIR non-funded things. We can't buy equipment right now. We can't do IP licensing costs, things that we need to go forward. So if you have any questions, I'll take them now, or you can take my email and find me later. Thank you.
All right, questions? Come on.
In spite of the fact that your team is a little weak, that was a great presentation.
Anything else, critiques? Come on, we're looking for critiques. Couldn't be flawless.
It was definitely not flawless.
You did one thing over this time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, good job, Mark. Nice. Okay. Now, he got this work. All right, go get it. Let me, hang on, let me sit down at time.
We're really big into cows.
I like cows.
All right, I love the name.
Yeah, we have a new name. We're really excited about it. So we are Ribodynamics, and we are going to revolutionize the way nucleic acid analysis is done. Okay? So what if I could tell you that we can take a mosquito and tell you immediately whether or not it's Zika infected or healthy? What if I could take a human lung tissue and tell you whether or not it was a healthy tissue or cancer tissue? What about a piece of lettuce from your salad? Wouldn't you like to know right before you eat it whether or not it had listeria? What about your beer that you're about to drink with that lettuce? What if I could tell you whether or not that beer is going to be skunky before you take a sip of it? And what about the cows on your local dairy farm? What if I could tell the local dairy farmer that all he had to do was use our technology in order to tell whether or not his cow was staph infected or not? Well, we can do all of that. Okay? Well, who cares? A lot of people should care. But specifically for this presentation, we're going to be talking about the dairy farmers and the dairy QC labs. Okay, so funny story. I went to a local dairy farmer. He told me he had 70 cows, okay? And what they do is they take milk from all 70 cows, they put it into these vats, and then they visually inspect it and they say, oh, that looks weird, let's pasteurize and make cheese out of it. But the problem is that the cheese goes out on the shelf, and then they realize, hey, it's only been a few days, we expect this to be on the shelf for at least a couple of weeks, and this smells bad. We don't know what's going on. Well, they can only afford to get a consultant out to their farm a couple of times a year. And so the best that they can do is keep pasteurizing, taking their USDA certified organic label right off of their products, and moving on, okay? So we're really going to target these local dairy farmers, and we're also going to target the people who do the QC for them. Okay, we're going to do this in two different ways. We're going to build a field deployable platform for the dairy farmers, and we're also going to build a platform that's going to be able to be integrated into the labs for the QC. So the total available market for the instrument side of this is two-pronged because we have the instrument side and we have software that goes with this. We think that our slice of the pie is going to be about $200 million. The software is about $5 billion, of which we think we can get about 1.2 million. Okay, our solution. What do we actually do? How are we able to do this? Well, we can take any type of cell, and in the case of lettuce, we can take individual pieces, break it up, and do RNA analysis on it. So you can see a regular piece of lettuce versus a listeria-infected piece of lettuce, and we can tell the difference using the algorithm in our software. Okay? Moreover, the more things that we sample, the larger our database grows. So not only do we have the know-how, the software, and the hardware, and the hardware. So this is what we're going to do. Our revenue model is pretty simple. Part one, we're going to file for phase 1 SBIRs through government agencies. We're going to seek venture capital. We're going to keep doing this around the clock. Okay? Every single application that we have, for every solicitation that we can apply for, we're going to do. All right? We're going to pick up some pilot studies in part one, and in part two, we're going to file for phase 2 SBIRs to build up our infrastructure. We're going to take these people who were collaborators and make them customers at this point. So we're now going to service some of this stuff for a price. In part three, we're going to have the infrastructure to sell them the platform, either in the deployable backpack version or in the lab version. So what does our traction look like today? Well, originally this project started with an NSF grant that was back in 2004 for the method development. Jumped to 2015, we filed a provisional patent on the actual technique, patent application. In May of 2016, we filed the full US patent, so it's pending right now. In August of 2016, we were accepted into Albany Medical College's BAC Academy. September, we were accepted into this program here. October, submitted a grant for our first business grant for the NSF Partnership for Innovation Technology Translation Grant. In November, we were established, because we got a cool enough name. December 2016, we are planning and writing right now our second business grant, which is going to be our first phase 1 SBIR. January 2017, we're hoping to participate in the National NSF I-Corps program, and I just got accepted into the Blackstone Launchpad Business Plan competition, which is taking place in February, so we're really excited about that. So acquiring customers, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do online marketing through scientific vendor sites, exhibitor booths, traveling sales reps. We want people out there spreading the word. Partner with mass spec companies. We want to keep our customers by incentivizing them through programs for PIs, lab managers. We want to go into universities, train students so that these people can eventually go out and want to purchase it for their labs. Instrument demonstrations, joint collaborations with our R&D team. So we want to pull in academics and get as many pilot studies going as we possibly can and build that database. We're going to offer software updates and add-ons. And how we're going to stay alive? R&D to promote the upgrades in instrumentation and applications. We don't want to sell one, we want to sell a lot. Customer development to increase our collaboration with other people. We're going to need a team to handle the aesthetics, changes and upgrades, and eventually we want a website and a mobile app that's going to promote scientific studies that are using our platform. So the team, me, I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Dan Fabris, he is the Chief Scientific Officer, and Rick Neff is our mentor. And we're slowly but surely getting Matt Cusack on board. Our financials look something like this. We're hoping to use the SBIRs early on, but we may not, turn a profit for a while. Our competitors are the main mass spec companies, and scientific vendors out there. The key difference between what we're offering in our platform versus what they are is that all of their stuff is suited for proteomics research, okay? Their software is suited for proteomics research. Ours is based on nucleic acids, and to date, there's not something out there like that, okay? So this is necessary. And what we're asking for today is really a joint development agreement. We want to be able to access collaborators. We want to be able to accelerate our instrumental development by testing the platform in your infrastructure. We want, in return, to provide you with this platform. We want to train your people. We want access to all of the results, and we're going to give you access to all of the results. And at the end of this agreement, we'll give you 10% reduction in the platform price. And with that kind of deal, I don't know who wouldn't want it, honestly.
Yeah, exactly 8 months.
Oh, nice.
Questions? Yeah, stay up there. Now you're on the hot seat. All right.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned that you're offering nuclear blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Versus proton, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Why, I mean, just being a layperson, why should I care about the difference?
As a layperson, I don't think you will. As a person in a QC lab, you're definitely going to get it, what I'm saying. Yeah, as a layperson, I don't think you'll care at all.
Yeah,
If I were
so-
to give this pitch to a layperson, it wouldn't be the same.
So if you're gonna pitch it to like venture capitalists, yeah, you gotta dumb it down so that they know the difference. But in fairness, I asked them to do like for a customer. So this was gonna be for a customer, so they're gonna go out. If it's a customer, they're gonna know.
They know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's just kind of like, a little bit expand on that. How come all those other companies that are working with proteomics, how come they haven't made anything from nucleic acid? Was it just cost prohibitive for them, or were they just not interested in that field? You know?
I think the field of nucleic acids is up and coming. We had the Human Genome Project, which brought about a lot of change in that field, and then mass specs became really popular, and now proteomics is kind of the end result of the genome, and so everybody's focused on proteins, and nobody's really looking at them in a way. So I think we're before our time.
So what instrument are they using right now to look at nucleic acids and stuff like that?
Nucleic acids, they're using mass specs, or they're using NMR,
Next generation sequencing.
next gen,
And they can
yeah,
see what they see.
amplification.
So does that help answer the question? It's all big, expensive, slow.
I would like to see like a product description of what you guys actually have. Like define your product. So are you gonna make portable mass spec, or is this a?
Yeah, so we're gonna do two different things. We're gonna have a portable platform where you can just test on the spot.
Yep.
And it'll spit out a yes/no readout kind of thing. And that'll be for like a layperson, somebody on the dairy farm who wants to, sample the milk immediately. And then there's going to be one which is a full platform, which will be used for R&D.
Yeah, in a lab.
Yeah.
So at the heart of it, though, it is a mass spec.
Yeah, it utilizes mass spec, but really the novelty is in the software. Yeah.
I think there was a little discontinuity when you said you were going to focus first on dairy farms, and then the next slide was about lettuce and listeria. So you might want to make that next slide dairy focused.
Definitely.
Very good.
What did you learn from your interviews? I'd like to hear a little bit about that in there so that you can sell me as a customer that this is something that lots of people want.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys.
We're good to live.
You want to keep plowing? Or you want a little break? All right, so just keep going. Keep on trucking. My slide there can read beautiful summary headlines.
That's the whole time.
Give me that.
Specific.
Okay, everybody listen up. We're going to go through this quick. So I am going to talk about the keys, which are on the left-hand side, the forgotten side
Very small.
of the business model canvas. So we're going to talk about it today. So look at this picture. I like to speak with photos or images. So that should say it all. Look at that. Almost there. Look at that little that progress we
That
get.
is a huge stride.
Isn't that big? That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, that chicken is running. That thing is running. I'm proud. A hungry chicken. All right, we're gonna talk about the left-hand side. It's all the keys. So the key activities, key resources, key partners. Keys are important because we need partners. We need activities. We need resources. So let's talk about activities. What is an activity? What are you going to do? So what tasks do you need to satisfy your value proposition? What are you going to do as a company? What do you need to do in order to reach customers in each segment? What activities are required to create long-term revenue? There's a ton of activities. We can talk about activities for days and days and days. A lot of it boils down to common sense, and activities are going to change with time. Remember this old friend? So this is like just a snapshot of the road to products. And you first come up with your discovery phase, and you go through scoping and building a business case and development and testing and doing all the quality control with your products and finally launching your product and all that. And each time your tasks are going to change. All your activities are going to change. You're going to mature as a company. So the stuff that you're doing day one as a company is not the stuff you're doing day 100 as a company. So your list of activities it's a moving target. So all the key activities are going to change. There's going to be some key activities that percolate up and they're timeless. They're going to be there always with you. But each step of the way, you got to talk, you got to listen to customers, all this kind of stuff. We talked about this before. At the end, you got to have customer care. This was the much celebrated value of suck. So you can see your progress. I put a progress meter on that to make you feel good. You know, I mean, seeing a chicken is one thing. Seeing the progress through the march of the valley of suck. Look, oh man, so close. All right, so you finally get to the other end, and you're going to launch. You finally get ready to launch some products, man. Woo, baby, woo. I can't believe it. So what do you got to have in place before you launch? Oh, good God. So we're going to go through 2 slides of this. So these are tasks. These are key activities that you have to do before you launch. So value is your clearly articulated value proposition, customer profiles identified, you have new products in the pipeline, have you gone through beta testing, do customers find your product easy to use? You got to ask all these kind of questions, and you will have done all that hopefully through the course of doing your customer discovery as you develop this product. Otherwise, when you launch your product, you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to figure out if customers actually want it. So that's why we take you through the process of talking to customers before you actually launch a product. Promotion, so these are sort of the P's of marketing, product, promotion. How are you gonna sell this thing? So selling it online, selling it through inside direct sales force, these are difficult things to do. You know, like imagine, you've invented this, I got this. I can make 1,000 of these a day. I'm going to sell them online. How the hell do you do that? Put on eBay? How are you really going to get traction on selling it online? You got to spend money to do that. So it takes marketing, marketing dollars to get the word out. You guys know it's tough to get the word out about your product. It takes money. So how are you going to get the press, do the demos, lead generations, get your brand out there, all that kind of stuff. Collateral like handouts to customers, on-campus representatives if you're selling on campus, etc. Internal communication. You got to make sure that your people can answer the phone when the phone rings and, hey man, this thing doesn't work. Well, did you put the batteries in it? So have somebody be able to answer the questions when people call in. Pricing and plans, competitive analysis, post-product launch plans, channel support, etc. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. So the point is, you always have a lot of activities that you have to get done, and the activities are going to change with time. So just be aware of that. Raising money can be a key activity. So with my CEO hat of Self-Array, my job now is to raise money. And that's a different sort of task than if we had money in, then I could be more of an internally focused CEO and focus more on the business at hand. Like, okay, well, let's hunker down and get the science done. So you change, everybody in the company is going to change their focus, change their task over time. And it could be cycling. So raising money is a key activity. Money is also a key resource that you're going to need. Pretty much every company in here has to raise some money. You're very, very lucky if you're like, no, I can do this on my own. I have enough money. You might be like the envy of everybody. But
But I don't believe in my product, so I'm
You-
not gonna piss my money away on water.
forget that.
I wouldn't have
Put it on the helmets,
I like
right?
the helmet, yeah, that's what I do with my money.
Yeah, key partners may actually buy your stuff, so there's lots of different keys. Then I just started thinking about Ben Franklin and his key. I don't know why. And if you do the Ben Franklin experiment, you're gonna get your ass fried. So don't do it. I don't understand. I don't think he actually did it. I did some research, I got involved. I spent 2 hours on Google, and my conclusion is Ben Franklin never actually flew a kite. Right, he never actually did it. Like somebody in Europe actually did something like that, and Ben Franklin like read the paper, and was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And then he had a printing press, so he could print that he did it. So, but I don't think he actually did it. He didn't toast.
Why?
He'd be electrocuted, man.
Why? The key's way up there. Why would?
Yeah, he's not gonna stop
The string
it.
is not a conductor.
That's coming. No, the wet string is. That's why he did it. He's like, I'm gonna do it in the rain so the string stays wet and it conducts. Google it, man. It's been 2 hours.
Okay.
It's worth it.
A tree is not a good conductor either, but when lightning hits the tree,
It's gonna go through it.
Yeah.
It's gonna go through it. Lightning knows no bounds. It goes through. Air is an insulator, and it'll go through air. So, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. That's from Ben Franklin. That's pretty wise. And in the same voice, please don't attempt Franklin's key activity because you will be fried. And that's from the eyesight teaching. Thought you liked that. All right. Key resources. Remember this? We talked about the box of money. $1 million in the box of money, man. Can you imagine that? Oh, nice box. How nice would that be to get that $1 million? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's find some investors. All right. In my day, they were called government grants. Now people call it taking non-dilutive capital. So government grants are now, if you want to be professional about it, well, I got some non-dilutive capital. We got $225,000 in non-dilutive capital that we've raised. Like, what the hell? Yeah, we got a grant. It sounds better to say non-dilutive capital. And what the words mean, non-dilutive, means nobody's diluting the company, meaning nobody is getting stock in the company, so the company's stock level stays the same. Nobody's taking a piece of the pie. So it's non-dilutive. And then capital means cash over. All right, so let's talk about risks. Did I talk about this with you guys yet? No, I don't think so. Okay. So there's lots of different risks. So again, think of yourself as the dude or dudette with the box of money, the $1 million box. Why are you going to give that to somebody? The only reason you're going to do it is if they reduce the risk so much that you're okay with it. So what kind of risks are out there? There's financial risk, technology risk, people risk, market risk. You know, this is why like people risk, they want you to look like that. If you're going to raise money from an investor, you know, unless they're a cowboy, they don't want you dressed like this. They want you dressed like a banker or something, more like them. Because that's a people risk. Market risk, they got to understand that the market's not going to go away. They understand the market. Technology, they got to trust you that this technology is going to work as you say it is. And then financial risk, can you keep raising money? So look at different risk profiles. Senior debt threshold right here. So this is like a bank. I dare you, any of you guys, go to a bank. Hey man, I got this great idea. Here's my business model canvas. Check it out. Will you give me $1 million? They will laugh at you and then escort you off-site as the cop is laughing at you. So there's no way. You're way too risky for a bank. You're not going to get money from a bank. Venture capital used to be they were more risk tolerant. Not anymore. Those days are gone and it sucks. It would be much better if they can handle more risk. But VCs, they don't like a lot of risk either. Not a lot of VC money out there. It's tough to get. Angels, angel investors, they're a little more loosey-goosey. You can get some more, you can get some cash out of them earlier. It's not going to be as much, and they're going to have other items, other things they put on you. I'll talk about that. But again, they're a little more friendly about risk. They want to see, you know, they have other moral purposes like making the local economy grow, you know, that type of thing. You don't get that with the venture capitalists. They don't care. They want their pocketbook to grow. But you can get some angels that have a different sort of purpose. Friends, family, and fools. So you can convince, you know, I know it's not politically correct, but we got President Trump coming on, so you can get retards to give you money. Anyway, there's there's a bigger threshold for.
So that's a government box?
They could be a government box. Actually, no, the government box is here. So they say like economic development funds and things like that, and SBIR funds. So they make fun of themselves. They're like, you know what? We're going to be more risky with the money. So, and that's by design. There's actually, I got a book, haven't read it yet, but I got a book and it talks about how the government has taken on the role of being an accelerator, which is fantastic. So the federal government wants to accelerate companies. That's new. That didn't happen a few years ago. So they want to give you money if you're going to generate jobs. If you tell somebody in the government, like I said before, oh man, I got this great licensing play. I'm going to be a two-person company, and we get to the point where I license my technology. Oh, I'm going to make $2 million myself. They're not going to give you any money. They want to see a company. They want to see the economy grow. They want to see your pocketbook grow. It'd be a great side effect, but you know they really want to see you generate jobs. So it's pretty cool that NSF, NIH now, these others, you guys might be able to get a lot of NIH money. You know, they usually write bigger checks than NSF. So anyway, they're a lot more tolerant of risk, and they actually sort of embrace scientific risk. So if you got something scientific, they kind of dig that. There's all this pressure to reduce the risk. That's why I always say, you know, dress like a banker. Make sure you understand your technology and that it's doable and it's covered with patents. Your market risk, check it out, see who your competition is, all this kind of stuff. Financial risk. Understand that if you've got a business that's going to require you to raise $4 billion to get to break even, that's pretty risky. You might not be able to raise that much. So maybe try another business model. So they want to reduce that risk as much as possible. All right? Again, you got a box under your bed of $1 million. You're going to give it to somebody risky? No way. No way. So just think about it. So like I said, banks will laugh you out of the room, so we're not going to talk about banks. We're going to talk about friends and family, angels, venture capital, and customers. Here's some of the reasons why investors will ignore you. You are not a leader. Your team sucks. No traction with customers, unproven business model. You're approaching investors the wrong way. You're not coachable. Myriad of reasons. We can talk about that for a long time. But many common reasons are going to be about you, the presenter. And this is what they do. They're just going to humiliate you and say you're not a leader, you suck, your team sucks, you're not coachable, you have no domain experience, you've raised no non-diluted capital. You know, they're gonna have lots of reasons to not invest in you. It's all about risk reduction. Friends and family, if your grandma says that you're a loser and you're not coachable, probably don't ask grandma for money. Don't eat the cranberry sauce. Maybe, right. So, you can raise money from friends and family. There's nothing wrong with that. You can raise it. But do you really want to ask your dad to cash his 401k? Think about it. What would grandma think if you gave her no return on her $10,000 investment? Grandma, fixed income. She's going to give you $10,000. She's going to write you a check. Because she's not going to give you a box of money. She's going to write you a check, old-fashioned check, with a quill pen. Because that's what grandmas do. And it'll probably have flour on it from the pie that she just made. You're going to cash it. And you give her no return on that? How bad would you feel? Uncle Joe wants his money back in a year and he just doesn't understand why it's taking you years to develop this portable mass spec. I thought it would be next year I'd get my money back. And you gotta, don't fool yourself. Uncle Joe, hey Uncle Joe, man, it's gonna take me 5 years. Yeah. Uncle Joe doesn't remember the 5 years. He's like, wait a minute, I gave you the money a long time ago. What happened to that? Like, I want it back. No, Uncle Joe, it's only been 6 months. So you gotta think long and hard. Here's some faces. People you might disappoint. I mean, come on. You want to take money from friends and family? I don't know. You got to think about it. And if you do, there's other things. Unqualified investors can hurt you later, stemming from the Securities Act of 1933, defined by Regulation D. Blah, blah, blah. I won't read the rest. You can be a qualified investor in order to go public. You got to have qualified investors involved. If a investor later, a big venture capitalist comes on later, I like your company. I think I might invest. Show me your cap table, and you have to show them who owns stock. If he sees, what, grandma owns stock? Wait, well, how much money did she make last year? Because if she didn't make 200,000 for the last few years, she's a non-qualified investor. Yeah, well, grandma didn't make that much. Like, so she's a non-qualified investor. I want her out. So causes problems. It sort of makes you, it's risky because it also makes the company look a little naive if they took money from a non-qualified investor. So follow-on investors don't want to have your grandma involved or your father involved with it necessarily. There's always exceptions, you know, but usually they don't. So it could reduce the value of the company going forward if you don't think about it. They might not fully understand the risks. Again, that's, you know, talking to people that are friends and family. They want to give you money just because they're friendly and they trust you. But man, how bad would you feel? So luckily for me, like, I've lost tons of money from my investors, but not all of my friends or family. So, is that elevator? Suppose you've invented a cure for cancer. You have all the patents and a small team of founders, but you've given 20% of your company to an investor that's clueless and he sets on the board. This happens. So your first investor gave you some cash, he owns 20% of the company, he sets on the board. He has no idea about the cure for cancer. He's been digging ditches or something. Who knows what he's been doing? But he sits on your board. Nobody's going to want to remove a board member. So an institutional investor is going to come along and say, you got to get rid of this dude. He's on your board. Why'd you do that? It's really hard to get rid of somebody on your board. Because that board member, he's a nice dude. He gave you your first money. He's a decent dude. He may not know the space, but geez, you got to get him off the board because the investors want him off. So you got to talk with him. He's like, what's wrong with me? Like, you got to have this conversation. It's a really tough conversation because he sees you raising money. You got this venture capitalist on the hook. Now you're getting rid of me? I was there from day one. So again, all these things you got to think about. It's so tempting. Somebody's got money in front of you. Hey man, I'm a friend. Take it. You got to really think about it. All right. Individual angel investors. So there are investors, there's angel groups, and then there's individual angels. Yes, sir?
Sorry, on that last slide you said you have to have a pre-plan to get rid of star investors.
Yeah.
What would be an example of that?
Okay, so you can do a lot of different things with corporate law. So if you have a good attorney, you can have things in there like, first of all, the board members are reelected every year. So there's always an annual meeting. It's just by Delaware law or most states' law. Annual meeting, they get elected to the board. You could have some mandatory stuff in there. You could say all the board members have to re-up, have to be reelected or something upon, securing $1 million of funding. Something like that. So you can put a hook in there where everybody knows, including the guy you went off, well, when we get money, then we all have to sort of be voted back in, like that type of thing. And as long as it's done in advance, people will be pissed. So talk to a corporate attorney. If you have sort of a questionable board member, your corporate attorney can put some things in the books that make it so that they can get removed without problem in the event you need to. Angel investors, a couple flavors. They come in groups or they come in individuals. So it's typically a person that sold a business, been successful in business, they're local. They may want to exert some control over the company, bring some contacts and expertise, especially in the local area. And like I said, sometimes they run on a tribe, they run on a pack, and that's called an angel network. So, and they invest in a fund. So they give money to a fund, and then there's some people that sort of manage the fund and then do the investment in individual companies. So slightly different pitch. Eastern New York Angels is sort of the biggest local one we have. Typically, they don't invest in apps. I don't know that they invest in bio. It's usually like widgets. That's sort of their heritage. It's typically $250,000 of convertible debt, which means they're going to give you a loan. They're going to want the money back after some time or some other trigger. Usually it's time. 3 years, you got to pay me back my $250,000 at X% interest. If you can't pay it, then they own the whole company. What they plan on is converting it though. So it's convertible debt. If you raise money before the deadline is due on the banknote, then they will convert their money into stock at a reduced rate. So they'll get, say, a 20% discount on the next investor that's coming in that sets a price for the stock. then these guys can buy $250 million of it at a discounted price. It's all pre-negotiated. Could scare away, so suppose, do a thought with me, like, suppose they ask for such a discount, I want a 90% discount, so I'm paying only 10% of what the new investor's paying. New investor's not gonna like that. You know, so these guys are bringing in $250 million, new investor, I'm gonna bring in $10 million, there's no way they're gonna be satisfied with that sort of dilution. You know, so what happens is usually they get to a smoke-filled room and pay each other off and, you know, decide, and then come up with some joint offer.
So also mentioned that SBIR phase 2 doesn't like convertible debt.
Yeah, oh, very good point, yeah. Maybe even phase 1, I don't remember.
Yeah, we didn't have any for phase 1.
Right.
I don't know. Phase 2, they made the point that
Yeah.
they don't like to see, because that's a negative in the cap table.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so they really discouraged us, because we told them, hey, for phase 2, you know, we may get debt, convertible debt from an angel network or something. No, don't do that. You can't get convertible debt, basically, it's a negative. They may want an advisor role, a board seat, most likely, that kind of thing. These guys actually want a written business plan, so they don't believe in the business model canvas. They want a whole 50-page business plan. So don't be surprised if there's some investors out there that want it. All right, so angels are smart people, they have a successful business. They may get angry if you don't listen to them. They're going to demand a return on their investment. They're not doing this all out of the goodness of their heart. They actually want to do something, and then just sort of cleanse corners. Success is a lousy teacher. It makes you feel like you're actually smart at what you did last time. So if you were successful in business, it doesn't mean necessarily you're smart. That's not a real condition for it. You could just got lucky, you have a good team, there's all kinds of things. So sometimes if you get a successful person, they think that they're super smart in their space, and man, it's hard to tell them no because they just gave you money. All right. So this is you when you first start a company, good times, out there having fun, then you took money from these guys. So they have the money, they call the shots. So once you have money, your fiduciary responsibility changes. It used to be, hey buddy, you know, where are we gonna go to lunch? And that was your responsibility, figuring out how you're gonna have the most fun while doing your job and all that. No, when you have money, your boss change, your responsibilities change, your decision-making processes change. You have more people that you have to involve. You know, unless the company, it's not your company, you're going to be an employee in this company. You happen to own a lot of stock in it, but you're an employee. And your investors are part of the team. And pretty much by definition, your interest and your investors' interest are not going to fully align. Hopefully they're pretty aligned, and hopefully they're not orthogonal, as we say in the business. So you want the most alignment you can get, meaning they want to do the same thing you want to do as a manager. Venture capitalists, so institutional investors, they tolerate only minimal risk nowadays. Typically they have a focus area, so biotech, you're going to go to Polaris Ventures and then some of these other guys that are, you know, historically biotech focused. Those are usually different than sort of widget-based, than software-based, that type of thing. There's service-based ones. You can Google it, there's a whole list of venture capitalists that are out there. They have a formal process that they'll put you through. They want to see products and revenue. They want to see you go through the valley of suck, launch a product, have some revenue. Then they'll start talking to you. Typically, they're going to change your team. Like if you don't have like seasoned entrepreneurs on your team, they're going to want somebody to reduce that people risk. They're going to want their own people in there to help you run the team. Board seat, preferred stock, which is going to be a different color of stock than what you guys have. So you're going to have like founder stock or common stock. Preferred stock gives them more rights and privileges. So it may be they can cash out before anybody else can, or they get some minimum payback in the event that a company goes bust or something. So there's all kinds of different things you can put on this preferred heading, and they can write in there whatever they want. And then it's up to you to say, well, the money's worth it. We'll do it. You know, so it's a that's when you got to have a lawyer and you got to talk about it and see what you can tolerate. They may impose lockups on the team. They may make you earn back your stock. Like you're going to take all your stock away, sort of put it in the fridge. You're not going to get it for 3 years. You know, that type of thing. So, but they're going to have useful contacts. They're going to have follow-on money, that type of thing. Sometimes you'll read, don't get seduced by this, you'll read of companies that have raised $100 million from top-tier venture capitalists. Man, how the hell do they do that? It's usually what I call a dream team. So they get like IP from Harvard, MIT, and they know their buddy who's not doing much, and he was a seasoned CEO, put him as the head of the team. They get all the inventors from, that invented the IP to be, involved with the company. They put other people in it, and they just dump a pile of money at it and say, go, So it's not really, it's sort of a synthesized company instead of an organically grown company. I believe in organics. I drink organic milk and that type of thing. Actually, I drink whatever's cheapest, damn it. Just move on. Nitrates, I eat nitrates for dinner. So if you ever have the pleasure of speaking of VC, be prepared to be humiliated, because that's what they'll do as part of the process. But you will be stronger. I always say it's like buying a house. So you guys have bought a house. You don't go in like some rookie and like, oh man, I love everything about this house. Oh, I can't believe the price is so low. I love this. The roof looks brand new. Like, this is great. You're not saying that. You may be internally saying, oh, this house, this is great. You're like, I hate that tile. The roof is way too old. You probably have termites up there. You're just boom, boom, detracting. You want that price to go down. You want to set the tone that you're not paying sticker price, because you're going back with an offer that's not, you never pay sticker price or more than sticker price, right? You want the house for less. So what do? You start humiliating the house. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to go in, and they have nobody else to point to because you are the company. I'm going to humiliate you. And that is absolutely what they do. At least they've done that to me. Maybe not to everybody, but oh God. I've been humiliated so many times. I can't tell you.
What was the best one?
The best one was when they were just talking about me. I might have even told you guys this. Sat in a room, had my nice suit on and everything. I gave the pitch, and I even had handouts with nice professional brochures with my card and everything. And I handed it out, and they were silent, and I gave them the whole pitch, and I nailed it. Bam! They were engaged. Yeah. The guy at the end. So, Jimmy, tell me why we want to invest in this company. Senior management doesn't have any experience? Yes. Sally, tell me another reason why we want to invest in this company. Like, I'm here still. I can go. I'm good. Just like right in front of me. Just say it. Just let me walk out. Then they don't humiliate. Get that price down. They didn't come back though. They actually went out of business. Like they literally went out of business 1 month after that visit. So they were wasting my time. Correlation. I should have told them. Yeah, it's correlation. They didn't invest in who they should have. All right, so this is going to sound weird, but the honest truth is raising money is a lot like dating. Because you really got to develop a relationship. You're not ever going to go to a VC, see him at a show or send him an email. Hey man, I got a great deal for you. This is the deal. I'm going to show you. Here's my business plan. How about you invest? They're going to be like, whoa, shut up. No, we're putting you on the queue. That's like going up to somebody at a bar and being like, hey man, you're really good looking. I want to date you. Let's go. I mean, I'm here. I have a lot to offer. And I like you. I would date you. So let's go date. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And they're going to give you a box or give you $1 million. Like, you go to a girl at a bar and ask her for the box of $1 million. She's not going to give it to you either. So just think of that. Picture going to a bar and they slide you $1 million. Work some time. Let's go drinking after this. It's a process. It's a whole process. You got to get to know this investor for 9 months to a year. You have to schmooze them. They have to understand what you're doing. They're going to throw you milestones before you have hit a term sheet. They're going to say, oh, I saw your pitch. Now you said you think that in 3 months you can get to a joint venture, joint development agreement. So let me know how that goes in 3 months, and then we'll talk after. Oh shit, I really thought it'd take 6 months. So then you got to push to get it done because that's what they see. And then that's part of the dating. They're going to set you up to hit these milestones to see if you're worthy to slide the box your way. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes there are venture funds inside a company. So this is sometimes a good way to get money also, but there's other strings attached for this. If you take money from, like if we took money from LG Ventures, what do you think LG is going to say if we're like, hey man, we're going to now license this technology to Samsung? You're gonna, oh, I'm on your board, man. I invested in you. So with a little investment, if they get on your board, if they have veto rights, they basically own you. You won't be able to license that stuff to somebody else or sell to somebody else because they're part of your team. So just keep that in mind. The terms are always going to be better. They'll give you a much better valuation. They don't care as much about that. They just want to get in and exert some control. All right, before you begin the process of raising money, though, you really got to know what the hell you're going to use the money for. You can't just say, yeah, $1 million bucks. What are you going to use it for? Stuff? I don't know. Wanted it? It's just not things. I got things, man. It's stuff. You got to say, oh, with this money, I will be able to get to this milestone, this one, this one, this one. I'll be able to launch products. I will get into development agreements with 5 different customers and blah, blah, blah. So they want to see what their money's going to be used for. How much the company would be willing to give up for that amount of money. How many rounds do you think you're gonna need to be profitable? So nobody wants to slide you $1 million if they know you need to raise 90 million. Because it's like, geez, that's financial risk, you know? It's like, oh, do I believe that, you know, mine's the first money in, do they have the capacity to really raise 90? I don't know. So much more enticing if that's the last $1 million you need and you can make an argument. Okay. So just keep that in mind too. All right, lots of activities. Where do you start? So this is going to be Clint's Corner. This is where I slow it down a bit. Talk about Clint's Corner. I got an example here, Doug. You can look. So priority setting. I did this. I took a class on this a while ago. Like Franklin Time Management. You like set priorities, look at quadrants and things. So there's things in your life that are important. Things that are not important. There are things that are urgent. And there are things that are not so urgent. Where do you want to be spending most of your time? On the urgent and important ones, right? Important customer interactions, application deadline, making payroll, closing a deal, answering board questions, preparing for a trade show, preparing for eyesight. A1 priorities right there. Not urgent, but important, and these are key. Planning, professional development, coaching, developing a culture in your company, looking at competition, looking at who's written patents on something that's similar. It's not urgent, but man, it's important stuff. That's the stuff that's going to get neglected. Because you're going to be down here doing these things. Be urgent, but not important. Good, Kelly's gone. Unimportant meetings and meetings reports. Oh my God, I'm new here. I know, I'm whispering. It's cool, it's cool, man. Other people's minor issues, coaching the uncoachable. Anyway, these are things that you get tied up on because somebody comes in and gets up. We gotta get to that meeting, we're going. I mean, wouldn't you like to just say, meeting is unimportant to me. I will get nothing out of this. So I'm sorry, it's a quad 3 activity. I can't go to the meeting. I haven't tried it yet. Number 4, gossip, which gossip could be, I mean, it could be really important and urgent. Facebook, hunting for donuts, calculating how much money you're making while you're in the bathroom. These are all non-urgent and not important, but they're also fun. This is the fun part.
Try to avoid the bathroom.
Try to avoid days. Right. Yeah. Right. So I want you to focus on this, of course, but also try to focus on this. And you got to get a discipline to do that. So the whole point of this is to give you tools. When you start a company, you're walking through the valley of suck, you're cycling, you're doing all this stuff. You got so many things. You're going to have way more things to do than you can get done. Do not get trapped into these urgent things that are meaningless and not going to map to anything. So what I do is I write down things. So this is an actual list from me today, and I was hoping Don wasn't here because I put him up here somewhere. Email Don. So, and you were on my list. I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it. So, I got to reply. I got to talk about this tour. I got to post my last lecture. Email Sylvia. I got to talk to the NSF program manager. This dude asked about a drone club. I got to get to that. Posters. Blah blah blah. So, get a replacement for this guy that's coming into my class. My daughter's math decision. She's able to move up in math class, but she doesn't want to, but I want her to, so that's a good, I gotta get grades, I didn't turn my midterms in. A priority, man. Email a customer, email another customer, reply to Don, now I'm sorry, but it was like, it's urgent. To me, I knew I'd see you tonight, and I mean, I hate that. I was hoping you wouldn't be here. You know, I called you and said class is canceled, and you didn't pick up your phone. No. You know. Anyway, I actually, when I make time, I sit down every morning and do this. And I have a running list because this list usually duplicates every day, and I add stuff to it. So, because I don't get a lot of stuff done. But if you can, prioritize these and then work on the A's. So, A's and B's. Key partners, this is a tough one because it's a lot of, everybody's going to have different partners. Distribution partners, suppliers, value-added resellers, joint ventures, early stages like joint development agreements and things like that.
Can I ask just an open-ended question?
Yes, sir.
Where do the key partners matter the most? What industries do they matter the most in?
I mean, for industries like what we're in, we need to have partners because we're not going to develop the entire product ourselves.
Perfect.
So if you have a full product, you may not need the key partners. Although sometimes you need outsourced manufacturing and stuff like that in China or something. So.
Yeah, or contract manufacturing.
Or America, or contract manufacturing.
And yeah, for within it. So what's an industry that the key partners is super important? What's a market? No takers?
All of them?
No. There's one that we proved in the New York City node that the partners mattered more than product market fit. What industry is it? What market?
Biotech.
Biotech. She knew the answer to that. She didn't want to see you keep suffering. So all of you that are in that biotech space, what it is once you prove efficacy, you don't have to keep finding customers because they will line up. You have once you get that FDA approval and the reimbursement code, you're done. But what matters is, can you make it? And it's all partners. So I want you to, don't blast through this topic. Think about your market and how much partners matter. I'm sorry, Clint.
It's all right.
Thank you.
It's all good. So, and that's why I say it's very difficult for me to think of who the partners are for you guys. But these are, like Matt said, very key. You have to think about where you are in the value chain. I mean, you had a good slide that showed like we were going to be here in the value chain. You know, we can't do the whole thing yet, but then we can expand and grow. So you need different partners at different times of your life as well. So just keep that in mind. Always look for them. Competitors are often really good partners. Yeah.
So in terms of the like the Launchpad Central, so it's like distribution partners within SDN. So like let's say we found like 1 or 2 distribution partners. Does that mean that you want us to go on there and validate it, or
it would be great if you could, and see, you know, because signing up a distributor is it's sometimes not the easiest thing in the world to do, and figure out what they want from you. Like what do they, you know, so if you're going to sell your device through a distribution network, do they have the reach? Do they have the customers you need? How are they going to sell it? You know, they're going to sell it in a catalog, they're going to actively advertise it for you, that type of thing. So try to really understand that, because you're going to get into a distribution agreement with them that spells that stuff out. Like, we're going to spend $50,000 a year on marketing, we're going to go to so many trade shows on your behalf with your product and pimp it out for people. But we want a 20% discount or 25% discount, or something like that on your supply to us, that type of thing.
Another key thing when you do partnerships is minimum sales orders. I want to give a real world example to this. One of the companies I was advising on the West Coast entered into a joint partnership with somebody, and they did not have a minimum order. And all it did is they took all the US rights. They said, yes, we're going to take all of them. They sold 0 of their product. And really all they entered into the agreement with them for was so they could continue selling a product they were already good at. Does that make sense? So you want to think, a partnership agreement, you want to think about performance metrics so that you can break the agreement. And remember, it's like dating. So if it's not going well for you, you want to break it. They couldn't break it, they were stuck for 3 years with no sales.
Matt, I had a similar situation. We were working with a company out of Austria. They made an unmanned helicopter, and they eventually struck a deal with Boeing. We were one of their partners, and then they had to cancel their deal with us. They went to Boeing, and Boeing sat on their technology for 5 years. The company wound up going out of business because they sold nothing. And Boeing locked them up because they had another unmanned helicopter that they wanted to sell to the Navy. They just didn't want the competition.
Yeah, it's a defensive move.
Nasty. One of the, I mean, you'll get better and better at reading contracts as you get older. But it's always good to have a good lawyer. So I remember I was pissed with our second round of investors because they demanded that we use their lawyers from New York City. They trusted these guys and all that kind of stuff. The fact is, these guys were badasses. They knew their stuff, man. They had all this contract law experience and everything else. So I was impressed with the group of lawyers we were forced to use. So our key, one of our key resources changed from a local law firm to a law firm down in the city. But it was actually a decent move because, man, they had a lot of big company contract knowledge, and they've been burned 100 times. Good stuff. Like I said, you get better and better at reading different contracts and things like that. Board of Directors, Advisory Board, maybe key resources, key partners, that type of thing. If you want to get a deal done with a partner, like you got somebody identified, man, these guys would be great as a distribution partner, as a partner that could add some value to my products, and they go sell it in their channel. Nothing better than competition, because if you're just talking to one company and they know it, they can string you along forever. So, if you are talking to LG and you tell LG I'm talking to Samsung, also, okay, now it's on. I got to move fast. So nothing is better than competition. Again, it's like buying a house. If nobody's put a bid on a house, you're interested in it, you can take your time until there's a bid, that type of thing. So just think about that. Always have a couple of potential deals cooking at one time. And you got to get creative. Like you can pretty much write any sort of construct you want in a legal document. So think about what you would be satisfied with, what kind of deal you could get, and then have that sort of ready and waiting when you're talking to the customer, the key partner that you want to get involved with, and really understand their point of pain, because they're going to try to lowball you on an offer or something like that. But like, dude, you can't even make this because you don't have our manufacturing technology. You don't have the widget that we have. You can't go to market with your stuff that you want to. We enable you to do that. So always keep that in mind, because that's their point of pain. You're there for a reason. They've invited you to give a presentation at their shop. They're not just doing it because they want to kill time. They're doing it because you actually answer a problem that they have. So yeah, I wish I had more profound advice, but you really got to be a salesperson and think on your feet. When you're in a room with your potential partner, and just try to be creative and think about things. Always rely on your board too. Like, I don't really have decision-making authority on this, so why don't you guys write up some terms, and then I can run it by the board. Because I'm not the bad guy. I'm here to negotiate. So it's better not to do a lot of heavy negotiation if you think you're going to get over your head. All right, so I figured I'd do a little catch-all here, do a role of the board, because that's kind of a different thing. Because as a young, scrappy entrepreneur, went into this thinking, oh, hell, man, I'm my own boss. This is great. Got a first round of money. I wasn't my own boss anymore. I had a board of directors. So my first board meeting ever, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, had the agenda. I was the chairman of the board. I couldn't believe it. They let me be the chairman. First board meeting, never been to a board meeting, never done a board meeting. First agenda on the rookies' first board meeting, first item was, okay, board, thank you for coming. Thank you for the investment. I want to change it from evident technologies, the future is evident, to evident technologies, all scientific and shit. And I'm looking at my buddies, we're laughing, hey. Silence. humiliation. I was like, oh God, because they were like, this goes in the minutes. I'm like, oh, board meeting minutes. Board's a serious thing. I was serious from that point on at board meetings. So it sounded like fun. It was not fun at all.
You had hair at that point.
I did. I lost it. I give you my stories so you don't walk in the path of shame that I walked in, okay? Because it was freaking humiliating. I'm like, oh my God, how stupid am I? It's a board freaking meeting. Like, what? So, anyway, don't be stupid at a board. Don't joke around a lot. It goes in the meeting minutes. It's part of your corporate records. You got a different hat on. It's not just the dudes pushing each other into the bushes in front of Applebee's. No! You're an employee. They're your boss. They give you money. So,
I gotta find the minutes.
that was stricken from the minutes. All right, so the duties are there to help make board decisions. You know, they must act in good faith, the best interest of the company. The company is all the shareholders, so the board is there to make sure that you got your shit together and you are doing what they want you to do as a good shepherd of the money. Somebody's giving you a pile of cash. Their job is to make sure you're not abusing that. So they have a duty that's imposed upon them. They have to answer the rest of the shareholders. You, as CEO, have to answer to the board. So your boss is the board. And there's sometimes, I mean, they're definitely different than management. They control the management. They tell you, what you're doing wrong, or if they agree with you if you're doing something good. Working definition, they can actually help you find customers, investors, open the doors, give you advice. Hopefully they're friendly towards you as management, and they agree with you as the management of the company. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
How does one go about choosing the board of directors? Is that something that is done?
It may be imposed upon you. So your board, typically when somebody gives you money, they're going to say, all right, I'm going to give you this money. I want 25% of the company, and I want to be on the board. And that's what will typically happen. If it's a fund that's giving you money, if it's an angel network or something, then they'll say, okay, as an angel network, one of our conditions is we take one board seat on your board of directors.
So what if, okay, so we've incorporated blah, 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 and I have the articles of incorporation, and it says that I have to have a board, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
So I know I have to do it.
Yeah.
So the advice that's been given is obviously don't choose anyone that's your, friend or blah, blah, like kind of identifying character. Like,
Yeah, that's a tough one. So just with our company, we have a two-person board. So me and James, who's the inventor from RPI. So it's slow, low, we're aligned, that kind of thing. At this point, there's no lawyers in the room, I hope, but if there are, you feel free to correct me because I would probably misstep.
But it's not being recorded.
Yes, good. But at this point, your board, it's a formality. You have to have it. If you're a corporation, you have to have board of directors. You have to have an annual meeting. You have to have board meeting minutes, like quarterly. Because what's going to happen is if you don't act like a company, and suppose you go out and your product kills somebody, then they could reach through and sue you because you're no longer protected by the corporate veil because you don't have any corporate. There's nothing corporate about you because in a board meeting, you have recorded minutes, you have an annual meeting to elect officers and that kind of stuff. So you got to act like you go through the motions of doing it because it's important to stay as a corporation.
So right now, to go back to the example, so right now it's me, myself, and I am listed as the, board member, the only person, blah, 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 and I do my minutes and I log that, blah. So how do we go about that process? Do you just ask people?
Yeah. Do you have a lawyer?
I do.
Okay. I would ask his advice.
Okay.
Because the next person you get in may not be the one that you want forever. So find a way to say, hey man, thanks. You're sort of let's call you an interim board member now or something like that. And there could be a way you can write it up so that they can, get a little reward at the end upon exit or something like that.
Yeah, you can do a 1-year appointment.
1 year, yeah.
And then give them a 0.5% equity or something like that, so there's a real transaction value to it.
Yeah.
But a lawyer will walk you through it.
Yeah. I would definitely talk to the lawyer and see. Because especially if it's not your dream board member, and it's like, as I grow, I know I won't want this person or something.
At which point does it become critical? So if we, say for example, we have an investor that's interested in us, wants to come on board, should I be scrambling to get a board of directors?
I would get a board, like an official board, and I think it has to be 2 people. Could be wrong, maybe 3, but I think it's 2. Just so you look like an official company. Because the partner that's going to come in and invest in you, they're going to send a team of people to look at you. You know, and they're going to say, oh, our legal team looked at you, and our auditing branch, and they said, this isn't really a company. They're not acting like a company. Because they haven't yet have a board meeting. They don't have a board. And there's no treasurer to point to. So I would go through the motions, get the machinery working as a full-out company. Even with a temporary person, you're going to be better off, I think. All righty? Hope that helps. So, yeah, all kinds of things. Actually, this is what we were just talking about. So, some final thoughts is you have to, it's fun to incorporate on LegalZoom. You can get the stock certificates and all that, you know, $400 and, you know, 1 million shares of stock and all this kind of stuff. But man, if you don't act like a company, it's gonna be meaningless. So you have to act like a company. Some of the first documents you'll want are like a non-disclosure agreement. You're gonna look more professional if you have that, you know. Plus, you don't want to give up your stuff free, you know. You want to say, hey man, I'll talk to you about this blue helmet design, but first I gotta have you sign this NDA. People will be like, oh yeah, I'll sign it. That's cool. And you look like a company. So same with like resolutions of the board. It was kind of a joke, a 2-person board, but we're, okay, meeting comes to order. Here's the annual meeting. We're electing the officers of the company. Plan for president. I recuse myself, James. Aye. Record that in the minutes. Like, okay, I'll do it. Thanks, James. You know, but you got to do it, you know. So early stage is really weird, but you still got to do it. And we actually have a stock option plan and all kinds of stuff, and we got fancy. I just took it from old company, just changed the names. But anyway, so act, if you're a company, LLC, act like it. That's the key. Because especially if you want to go raise money, you have a partnership with somebody, they're going to want to check you out. And if you ain't acting like a company, are they going to slide in a box of $1 million? No, because you look too risky, you know. That's all I had. Thank you. This is my last lecture for you guys. I almost feel like tearing up because you guys have been such a great team. I've loved every minute of doing this shit. I hope it came through because I love it, man. You guys are great. Best audience I ever had. Awesome.
Homework, guys, besides getting your pitches ready, please go back into Launchpad Central and update your company description. So the way you do that is when you log in, go to the thing that looks like a Rubik's Cube, click on that, and click Profile, and under your company name, there's an Edit button. Click on that, and there's a box in there. I need that so that we can have an official description of what you guys are doing. I know a bunch of you have pivoted, so we need an update. Just look it over. If you haven't pivoted, just make sure it's what you want in record as that.
Awesome. Guys, this becomes really important if you apply for an NSF grant. Because NSF staff will look back at your ISET experience.
Yep.
So make sure it's what you want somebody to see about you.
Yes, sir.
When is the last time to use the budget of the eyesights? Because our mold, the guy's taking quite some time to give us the estimate.
Come and talk to Kelly or I. We'll talk you through it. But yeah, next week, I mean, look, the thing moved. We made progress. I can't believe it. Final pitch day next week, 8 minutes, customer focus, okay? Not investor focus, but let's still keep focus on customers. Because again, typically you're not going to get an investor until you have a customer. So, we'll talk. We can modify this if you want to. All right. Good job, guys. Woo!